A young man stood beside her, his presence pulling my attention instantly. "Who is this?" I asked, my tone carrying an edge of irritation. Sophia hesitated, her discomfort evident. "Brian, this is Ben. We need to have a conversation." I studied them both carefully. My stunning 36-year-old wife, and this man who could barely be 23. His posture exuded arrogance, his demeanor grating against me instantly, while Sophia looked serious. Ben carried an infuriating smirk. Whatever this was, it was already making my blood boil. "Sophia," I said, my voice firm. "What the hell is going on?" She swallowed hard, shifting uncomfortably. "Brian, you must have noticed that things between us haven't been great lately, especially in the bedroom." Feigning surprise, I finally met her gaze. "Funny, you've never mentioned that before." She sighed, frustration creeping into her voice. "You know exactly what I mean. The passion, it's gone." I arched an eyebrow, waiting for more. She fidgeted, avoiding my eyes. "I just feel like I haven't gotten everything I need from you." "Oh, really?" My voice turned cold. "Sophia, you've been distant for weeks. How exactly do you know what you're missing?" Her cheeks flushed as her discomfort deepened. Before she could respond, Ben stepped forward. His presence was as unwelcome as his interruption. "Brian, you should understand." "Address me as Mr. Anderson." I cut him off, my patience wearing thin. For a moment, his confident facade wavered, irritation flickering in his eyes before he stepped back into silence. Sophia glanced nervously at him before turning back to me. "Brian, this is difficult for me," she said softly. "I love you. I really do. I can't imagine life without you. But you developed feelings for someone else," I stated flatly. "No," she protested quickly, her voice rising. Then, softer, she lowered her gaze, her eyes pleading with me to understand. "I still love you, but I've always felt tied down. I need space to grow, to figure out who I really am." "You mean to sleep with Ben?" I asked bluntly. "Don't be crude," she snapped, as if I had crossed an imaginary line. I let out a sharp laugh. "Oh, forgive me. And what exactly do you call what you're doing?" "It's not just about the physical," she insisted, as if that somehow made it acceptable. "It's about connection, growth, expansion." "Expansion?" I repeated, my tone dripping with sarcasm. "So, expansion means deepening your relationship with him while staying married to me?" She let out an exasperated sigh, as if I were being unreasonable. "Brian, what I really want is—" She hesitated, glancing at Ben. He gave her a subtle nod, urging her forward. Finally, she spoke. "We thought maybe we could stay married and things between us wouldn't have to change, but I could spend a few nights a week with Ben." I stared at her, struggling to process the sheer absurdity of what she had just suggested. "Do you actually believe that a good idea?" "Yes," she said, her voice gaining confidence. "I'd still come back to you. I'd still be here for breakfast." "How considerate," I muttered. "With your support, I could finally grow into the person I want to be." "And that growth requires Ben's help?" I asked icily. Her hopeful expression faltered. Ben, who had remained quiet, suddenly smirked. "Face it, man. You can sleep with her if you want, but she'll never enjoy it as much as she does with me." Sophia gasped, turning to him in shock. "Ben, stop." But he wasn't finished. "You heard him," he sneered. "You're good, but I'm better." I let the silence stretch, then chuckled. "Interesting. Linda almost said the same thing about you." The room went dead silent. Sophia's eyes widened in disbelief, while Ben's face twisted in fury. The mention of Linda, whoever she was, had hit a nerve. Ben's rage erupted as he stepped toward me, fists clenched. "You son of a—" "I'm sorry, Ben," I interrupted, feigning politeness. "But your wife seems to have gotten involved." He lunged at me, but Sophia grabbed his arm, holding him back. "Don't," she cried. "Ben, stop." "Let go of me," he snarled, struggling against her grip. "I'll make him pay." Sophia clung to him, desperate to diffuse attention, while I simply watched. For the first time, I felt something unexpected, clarity, The sensation that jolted me awake was undeniable. Let them rage. Let everything collapse. I had already decided how this chapter would conclude. Trust me, you don't stand a chance. Touch him, and you'll regret it. She was right. I wasn't sure if I could win. I was older than him by years, and it was clear his gym sessions weren't for nothing. But I wasn't weak. I had built my career from the ground up, fought alongside some of the toughest individuals in the industry, and earned my place. I stood my ground, and he seemed to be weighing his options. Perhaps another time. I wasn't finished yet. What's the point of bringing Ben's wife into this? The silence was broken by Sophia's voice, laced with barely contained excitement. Why drag her into this? She has nothing to do with it. Just leave her out. I shrugged as if the answer was insignificant. Funny, she actually reached out to me a month ago and told me all about you two. Sophia's face was a masterclass in feigned shock. But Ben looked as if the ground had been yanked out from under him. He had no idea what was happening. Watching him squirm was almost satisfying. The tension in the room thickened, our eyes locked in an unspoken battle. As expected, Sophia cracked first. If you're wondering whether I slept with her, I said deliberately, the answer is yes. Initially, it was just about revenge for both of us, but over the past 4 weeks, it has turned into something much more enjoyable. You're lying? Ben spat, his voice trembling with rage. You're a pathetic fraud. My wife would never betray me, especially not with someone like you. I raised an eyebrow and glanced at Sophia, who now looked irritated. We were the same age. After all, what did that say about her taste? Did he need proof? Ben, I said mockingly, should I describe her rose tattoo? I could even tell you exactly where it is. Or maybe I should mimic the way she gasped, oh yes, 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 when she reached her peak. Ben's face turned a deep shade of red, his anger boiling over. If looks could kill, I'd have been 6 feet under. But the realization had hit him hard. Not only had I seen his beautiful wife naked, but I had enjoyed every moment of it. Liar, he growled through clenched teeth. Linda would never do that to me. I laughed, letting the truth settle in. She was a quick learner. Maybe instead of fooling around with my wife, you should have been paying attention to your own. That did it. Ben shoved Sophia aside and stormed toward the door. I'm going to deal with my cheating wife. Not so fast, hero. I called after him, pulling a key from my pocket. Unless you have this, you're not getting in. He scoffed. I have my own key. Not this one, I said triumphantly. We changed the locks. His confidence crumbled instantly. Watching him deflate was immensely satisfying. Well, this is my cue, I announced with a smirk. I'm out. You can't just leave. Sophia cried, finally noticing what was missing from the room. She rushed toward me, tears brimming in her eyes. I raised a hand to stop her gently. You can keep the house and the car, I said coolly. But what about the rest? How will I survive, Brian? You still have your part-time job, I replied dryly, but it might be a challenge. Linda's father is planning to fire you first thing in the morning. I strode to the door, pausing briefly to look at them. 2 people who were once so confident, now reduced to heartbreak and rejection. A stark contrast to the smug couple from half an hour ago. Goodbye, Ben, I said with a smirk. It's been enlightening. My gaze shifted to Sophia. Goodbye, Sophia. Thanks for the memories. They've been educational. Out of points. Game over. No turning back. I stepped out into the night toward my car, their shouts and accusations fading into the air like an off-key symphony. The legal fees to divorce Sophia would be substantial, but considering this wasn't her first betrayal, it seemed a small price to pay. I felt nothing for her anymore. She was a 36-year-old woman still attractive enough, but a poor consolation compared to the wild, passionate 24-year-old who had taken her place in my life. And Linda adored me. Her multimillionaire father? Well, that was just a bonus. What a win. What a joke.